So since the settings is done, let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to collapse that, lock it, go to the next messaging one and unlock it. And this is what we're working on next. And let's use our scroll here and go over to, this is the third box, or the middle center box. This is the messaging icon. So we're on page 18 of the tutorial, step 1. So we want to create another circle. So we click and hold ellipse. We want to change the color. So double click on this fill. And we want to be able to add that color in. So it's 7C 4D FF. And then hit enter. So it gives us, I think it's a slightly different color. It should be. And then we want to create our ellipse, 88 by 88 again. Just double check. Looks good. Then we want to use the selection tool and then click and drag it to where it's lined up, just like we did the others. There we go. Looks good. The next part is asking us to do the main shape for the left box, messaging box. Okay, so let's do that. Come back up to our ellipse tool, in this case rectangle, same thing. Choose the rectangle tool, and then we're going to just click in there. We want to make it first, so it's 32 by 24. So 32, tab 24. Click OK. Now it's still the same color. Remember, we have to change that. So fill, and then it's the 6 Fs again. By the way, that's just basic white for web design and such. And then position it 20 pixels from the active drawing areas, both left and top edges. You're like, oh, what does that mean? Well, that means we use the arrow key, excuse me, and we move over, and we want to come over from the edge. So line up the edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Same thing down. So we line up 20 pixels by 20 pixels that way. So much easier than trying to do that just by looking at it. So the next part is asking us to change our view of what we're doing. So we come up to the view menu, which is at the very top. And right now we're on the default view. We're going to change it to a pixel preview and watch how the screen changes. So what we're looking at now looks like really, really not detailed, or even a Minecraft look, or Roblox, so whatever you want to equate it to. And it wants us to add a new anchor point at the bottom edge at 10 pixels from the left by left clicking and adding an anchor point. You're like, okay, that's just, I don't know, I don't get it. You're going to come over to your tools and you want the pen tool, and you want to click and hold it so that you get these options. You want to add an anchor. That's what we're looking for. So we choose that. We come here and we're looking for 10 pixels, and you're like, well, I can't see it. Well, that's easy. Control plus 2, 3. So I just did Control plus 3 times. And now we're going to come over 10 pixels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So what we did is we added an anchor point. You're like, well, what's that going to be for? It'll become clear in a moment. So now that we've done that, we want to come back out of the view that we're in. So let's do Control minus 1, 2, 3. So we can see our square again. And then we also want to come out of pixel view. So go back to the view and then click on pixel preview, and it goes away. You're like, oh, that's like magic. Yeah, I know. So it says continue adjusting the rectangle by selecting its bottom left anchor point with the direct select. So you're like, oh, all right, what does that mean? So instead of the black arrow, we want the white arrow right here. And we're going to choose this bottom anchor. Notice how it highlights by itself. These others are a white color. Let me zoom in again so you can see what I'm talking about. So the other anchor points are just hollow or white, and this one's actually colored in. That's what we want. All right, 1, 2, 3. So we zoom back out. And then it says to push the bottom 8 pixels with the help of the Move tool, which is right-click, transform, move, vertical 8. And you're like, all right, I don't understand what any of that means. Well, it means if we want to do this using the menus, then we're going to move that by using what it asks. So we come up to, excuse me, right-click, transform, and move. Oh, sorry, I didn't select it. Hold on, there we go. So we have it selected. Right-click, transform, move. When you get this, you're like, all right, I don't know what that means. We want vertical 8 points right here. So if we get rid of that and make it 8, and we want to preview that, see how it changes it? It just moves the bottom part down. And click OK. Now the other way to do that, let me undo what I just did, is to simply use the direct select, click on the anchor, and go with your arrow key 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does the exact same thing, just so you know. And once we have that done, we're on to the next step, which is to change it to an outline. So you're like, okay, I don't know what that means. So we want the selection tool. So we're just still on this. We're going to flip it by doing Shift X again. You're like, uh-oh, what happened? Well, nothing. We want that. We want the stroke to be 4 points. So we come up to our stroke preview and show that that does have a stroke of white right now, and there's no fill. 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to make it 4 like that. You're like, but it doesn't look the same yet. True. We want to come over to the stroke name and change it again to that round join, so it has that rounded look to it. Now we need to make other parts, so let's expand that so we can see what we're working on. And it wants us on step 6 to add what looks like text. So we're just going to be adding a rectangle. So we want to come back down to our rectangle tool. And let's go ahead and Shift X since it's going to be a fill. Whoop, my bad. I forgot. I need to make it first. So let's do, click on this, and we want to make 10 by 4. And I just did a Control Z and then 10 by 4 to make that. Now that that's selected, I can do Shift X, and it makes that. And it says it wants it to be 4 pixels from the top of the inside part. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it wants us to be 4 points away from the left side. So 3, 4. So that's the top text gap that it asks for on step 6. Step 7 wants another line. So okay, so we make one more. Click anywhere away. And we want 20 by 4. Click OK. Looks decent. And it wants it to match this, but 4 pixels apart. So match it up like that on the edges here. See how the edges lined up right here? And 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So that looks pretty good. Excuse me, sorry. And it wants us to group them together. So again, to group, we select, and then we hold down Shift, and we select that one and that one, and then Control G. So that's the upper message, like chat box, and I'm just hiding it to show you. Okay? So we are good there. Nice. And now we need to make the other chat box that's reflected on the bottom down here. So to do that, we're actually going to copy and then paste in front of this one. So to do that, we only want a part of what we've made. I believe it's the path. Yeah, we want the path part right here. So I want to target select, that's right there. And then we're going to right click and transform that. So let me just find an area here, right click and transform. And then we want to find reflect and then vertical. So reflect, vertical. It's going to be a copy. So we want to go ahead and click copy. And once that's done, use your arrow keys to move this over. Now it says it wants it 18 by 18 away from the edge. You're like, okay, so let's try that. Notice that I'm lining it up. That's the edge there. So we want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then we're going to go down with the arrow key. And we're lining up the edge of the box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 18. I'm noticing that there's a slight difference in that look of the picture. It does say 18, but it's 18 from the outer part of the stroke. So let's go up 2 more to make it match the picture on page 25. So notice how the 18px is like that. It also shows 18px on the outside of this part. So let's do 1, 2. Now it should look exactly like that picture. You're probably wondering, why did he do all that? Because we're matching the dimensions that the client wants. So we have to make it perfect. And then for the last part, we have to change back over our view once more to pixel preview. So view, pixel preview. We're going to zoom in 1, 2, so we can see a little bit better. And then we're going to use our add anchor point tool again. And it says it wants us to add 4 points. So 1, 2, 3, 4 from that edge. So I'm coming from this edge to there. And then it wants us to make another 4 points from this edge. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have those done. And then the directions say that it wants us to delete the other anchor points. That means that one right there. So we want to come up here and delete anchor tool. We want to delete that one. But look what it does. It doesn't really work for what we want. So we'll Control Z. And instead of doing that, we'll come back up to our pen tool. Sorry, our anchor point. We have our anchor point here. And if we do minus, it does the same thing. However, if you do cut, what that does is it takes away that segment. So now when you hit delete, it goes away. And if we choose that once more and do that again, now we have exactly what we need. So we're doing different steps to get those to be gone. And then the last part is to group it together. Control G. There we go. So now that that group is there, that's the bottom. That's the outside edge of the other. I would like to group them all together, but let's just collapse them and we can move on knowing that we have the right one. And we'll come out of pixel preview 1, 2, and then we can see our messaging icon is perfect.